Good morning members. This is the next video in the series of the case studies. In this particular video, we are going to study the case study number 12. For the previous 11 case studies, you can go through this particular page or link in the descriptions. So let's start with case study number 12. Again, an important one, so many times asked in exam, very easy to understand, but one or two parts are a bit tricky. So let's start this particular case study without wasting any time. So here, this is in the first paragraph, it is written that Birla Sun Life Fund, Indian-based, globally diversified equity fund, is considering adding a particular portfolio in it, for which he believes that he has therefore concluded that two-stage dividend discount model is most appropriate for valuing the stock. Now, what do we understand by two-stage dividend discount model? In the first stage, there will be some higher growth rate. In the second phase, the growth rate will be stable till perpetual period. So for the time being in which the growth rate is high, we have to discount the dividends separately for dividend discount model, and then from the year in which the dividend will be growth rate will be constant till perpetual period, first of all we need to calculate the terminal value over there by using d1 upon k minus g. Then you have to discount the terminal value to get the value of the share. So here it says the platinum pays semi-annual dividends. The total dividends during 6, 7 and 8 have been this much. So the most recent year for me is 2008, because past year dividends are not relevant for me, future dividends are. These imply a growth rate of 32% in 2007 and 70% in 8, but Saurav believes that the growth rate will be 14%. For future time period, what is the analyst's estimate? The answer is 14% in the next year. He has estimated that the first stage will include for next 8 years. What does this line stands for? This means that the 14% growth rate will be there till 8th year, and then from 9th year onwards the growth rate is going to change. Saurav is using the CAPM to estimate the required return for equity. He has estimated the beta of platinum against SX beta is 0.84. The RF is 4.1 and the risk premium is 5.5. So based on this data, he has calculated the required rate of return RF plus beta into RM minus RF is as 8.2%. Saurav is doing analysis in the January 2008, and the stock actual market price at that point of time was 70 rupees. Saurav realizes that even two-stage dividend discount model, there could be some variations in the approach. He would like to explore these variations affect the value of the stock specifically. He wants to estimate the value of the stock for each of the following situations separately. So under three different methods, we have to calculate the three different estimated prices. So dividend first approach is dividend growth rate will be 14% throughout the first stage of 8 years. The dividend growth rate thereafter will in the second stage will be 7% till perpetual time period. You have to calculate the price based on that. Instead of using the estimated stable growth rate of 7% in the second stage, Saurav wants to use his estimate that 8 years later, Platinum's stock will be worth 17 times of its earning per share. That means at that point of time, at the end of 8th year, if you want to sell this particular share, then it can be sold on 17 times of PE ratio. 17 गुना पर वो बिक सकता है. At that point of time, he expects that the earning retention ratio at that time will be 0.70. So retention ratio will be 0.70, then DP ratio will be 30%. So if the dividend per share will be there, then dividend per share divided by DP ratio will be your EPS, and EPS multiplied by 17 will be the price of the share. That would be the terminal value in the second approach. All other dividends will be same, but at the end of the 8th year, the terminal value that we're going to get will not be with the help of perpetual formula, rather by multiplying the PE ratio with earning per share. In the third part, in contrast to the first approach in which the growth rate declines abruptly from 14% to 8th year to 7% in the 9th, the growth rate would decline linearly from 14% to 14% in first year to 7% in the 9th. So this linear decrease, for the purpose of linear decrease, you have to use a formula for valuation of shares that is called H model. Listen to the formula very carefully. That model uses or calculates the price of the share as D0 into 1 plus growth plus D0 into H. H value you have to calculate. What is H value, sir? The growth time period, that is 8 years in this case, linear decline period, 8 years divided by 2. So 4 will be the H value into current growth rate 14 minus estimated growth rate, that is 7. Perpetual estimation is 7 and divide by K minus G. So whatever the value according to this you will get is called value as per H model, or if there is a linear decline in the value of the share. So moving ahead, this is the end of the question. Let's start with the practical questions. What is the terminal value of stock based on the first approach? As per the first approach, for the first 8 years, the growth rate will be 14%. 9th year, the growth rate will be 7%. So 9th year dividend divided by KE minus G. The value you will get at the end of 8th year, that is 1 year earlier, as terminal value is called the value or terminal value. Total value or terminal value. So if you want to calculate or want to see the calculation, then you can see the Excel sheet that I have prepared for you. That in the year 0, you are having the dividend of 0.75175. The growth rate for first 8 years is 14%. So simply add 14% to this, and in the 9th year it was 7%. So if you want to calculate the terminal value, that is 31.05, to get this 0.534, that is dividend at the end of 9th year, divided by K 0.0872, 8.72% was that, and minus 0.07. So you'll get the value as 31.055. That is called terminal value, the answer of your first part. The second part asks you, it was I think 31.055 or 31.06. In the first approach itself, the same one, what proportion of the total value of stock is represented by the value of second stage? Now the what is the second stage value that is included in the stock? For that particular situation, we have to calculate the value of the stock. Value of the stock means price of the share today. So in that situation, we have to consider the separate dividends present value also, and the present value of terminal value also. So in the same manner, here you will get the information of the same. If you discount these separate dividends at 8.72, then you will get these present values separately. If you add them up, then the total present value of separate dividend will be this much. If you will get the present value of 31.055, that is the terminal value, 31.055 for the 8th year, 1 plus 0.0872 raised to power 8, then you will get the value of 15.91. So in that case, what is the value of the stock? First of all, your share 17.6528. Now he is asking that in this particular value, how much proportion is of terminal value? Now how much is the terminal value? 15.91. So 15.91 out of 17.6528 is equal to approximately 90%. 15.91 out of 17.65 is equal to the value of the stock, or the proportion in the, or proportion of second stage in the value of the stock. So here in the third question, what is the terminal value of stock based on the second approach, that is earning multiple? So in that second approach, what we need to calculate is, we have to calculate the EPS at the end of 8th year. So DPS at the end of 8th year, or EPS at the end of the year, that is 0.2557 is the DPS, divide by 0.30, that is DP ratio, you will get the EPS. And if you will get the EPS multiplied by 17, the DPS was not this. Sorry, this was the present value, this was DPS, my fault. 4992 was the DPS of 8th year, and divide by 70%, sorry, divided by 30%, that is GP ratio, you will get the EPS as 1.6640, multiplied by 17 times, the terminal value you will get as 28.880, 28.2880. So this particular, the answer is this. He is asking what is the current value of stock based on the second approach. Now the dividends value will be, say, the terminal value, present value you have to recalculate, and whatever the value you will get, if you add that value, then you will get the correct answer, and that will be in this manner. This 28.2880 divided by for the 8th year, and this is the total from the last part, you will get the value of the share as 16.2 2352. And many other times you can get the questions based on these type of questions, these type of concepts, mostly in the exams. Next, moving ahead is the second last part. Based on the third approach, the H model, the stock is, now I have given you the formula for H model, every value you are having. So let's see the answer for this particular, that whether this stock is overvalued or undervalued. But for that purpose, we have to calculate the value as per H model. So D0 into 1 plus G plus D0 into H, that is 8 years divided by 2, 4, divided by current growth rate 14% minus terminal growth rate 7% divided by K minus G. So according to H model, the price of the share is 13.7375. The actual market price in the market is 17 rupees. According to you, the worth of the share is 13 rupees. Actually, if you want to purchase it, then you have to spend 17 rupees. So whether the share is overvalued in the market or undervalued in the market? The answer is overvalued in the market. So this share is overvalued in the market. So answer for this question will be overvalued, C. Now in the sixth question, this is again a theoretical one, last part of this. Saurav is wondering what the consequences would it be if the duration of the first stage was assumed to be 11 years instead of 8. If the growth rate that we assumed will be 14% for 8 years, in place of that, if we assume that the growth rate of 14% will be for 11 years, the share will grow more at a higher rate for a greater time of period, then obviously the total value estimated using the third approach would increase. The third approach uses the H model, that is linear declining. Then in that case, the value will be more. If you want to prove it, then you can use the assumption, or secondly, using the new assumption, the first approach will lead Saurav to conclude that the stock is overvalued. So in this particular question, the answer given here as per the CFA workbook is B. That is correct. Why C is or D or C or D is not correct? Because the reason is, out of this, one answer will be correct. Obviously, it will be either overvalued or undervalued. But the point is that this is available in normal market available books, and the answer is self-prepared by the person and prepared wrongly. So both out of these two options, because in the CFA workbook there were only three answers, and three answers were this much. So this answer is not correct, but this answer should be either out of these, one answer should be correct. But for exam purpose, you have to remember, if the same question is repeated, then the answer is B. That is, if the linear decline will be for a longer period of time and higher growth for longer period, तो आपकी earning or price थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा आएगा. The value under third approach will definitely going to increase. So this is the answer for this particular question. Most important for exam, you are definitely going to get one or two questions based on undervaluation, overvaluations generally in exams. So this is the 12th part. Wait for the next ones. I'm going to share very soon. Thank you so much. Do subscribe this channel to get instant updates of all the materials that I'm going to share over here, for that is relevant for your exams.